Good morning. This is ChaYahShalom, and it's January 1st of 2024. I haven't written it down yet, but we are on the Gregorian calendar, and this is under Rome, under the Pope Gregory. They changed the calendar, and so this is kind of what our calendars have us doing to get everybody together in one thing. Well, I have a study group. It's called Reconnaissance Study Group. And there's a lot of people from different walks of life, different ways of thinking, operating in different ways. So I have a group of people. We're trying to do a study. But in a way, we want to take the tangles out. I'm a hairdresser, and I work with curly hair, and sometimes the fine curly hair gets tangles. Sometimes we have to do conditioner and a comb. But after we get the hair conditioned well, even if you have bleach in there, we don't have to use a comb or brush or anything. You don't have to use a towel. Don't have to use detergent. There's a lot of things. So if we can set things straight or set it right, then we can enjoy what we have naturally. And I didn't make my hair straight. It's just this way. And I like it this way. I don't comb it or brush it. But I do understand about tangles. And you want to get the tangles and the snarls out of the hair because it doesn't look good, unless you're trying to go for a look like dreadlocks. And then I did come up with my own invention called joy locks because they're not a dread. Anyways, I invited some people here from Reconnaissance Study Group, and we're going to hopefully have a meeting of the minds and try to understand. Hey, Eric, we're going to try to understand one another today and try to see where everybody's at. Hopefully it's not going to be, too extra. We want to be able to streamline and get everybody, just try to see how everyone's mindsets are, because a lot of times people are confused. Like I said about having tangles in your hair, it makes it difficult to enjoy something when there's a lot of knots and tangles in the hair. The same thing with the knots and tangles in our brain and our ways of thinking. So we have various people in our group that have been doing processes, such as Eric. He's been following Patrick Devine's writing. And I'd like to be able to invite people to come so that we can get an understanding or comprehension of what it is that we're trying to accomplish. Because whenever we have a vision and a plan, and we do things line upon line, precept upon precept, then we're gonna have good success. That's what it says in the Bible. That's actually something that's written in the Bible. And we can see how the elite and the different ones who deceived us over the years have also done line upon line and precept upon precept. And their ways have, created success for them too. So if we don't want to be robbed and stolen from, or just be little children and be constantly, what's the word, harmed or tricked, then we need to grow up, and we also need to have a vision and a plan for ourselves. So, being that the Gregorian calendar is saying that this is the first day of the new year, according to them, then, they are going to have plans already set, probably in advance. They already got their stuff charted out. We also can start charting out our plans and chartering our own charters, which is what we're learning when Eric is teaching us about charters. So I do want to eventually streamline us so that we can follow some of our predecessors, some of those who have had success. But the only way that we're going to be able to do that is if we kind of can help each other. So I'm leaving the forum open for people if they have questions or they want to know, why are we doing this? How come? Those are important questions we need to know. So hopefully, let's invite God's spirit, Yahuwah's spirit today to come and illuminate our minds so that we can be able to get somewhere and get to the point. Hi, Eric. Good to see you again.
Hi.
It looked like we were having a little bit of a lively discussion in our little private messenger chat.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
So I could see that there were
Next conversation. Okay. Yeah.
ideologies that some people were going, is that us? Is that not us? Is the birth certificate us? Is it not us? Why do we want that? Do we want it? There was a little bit of back and forth, and I thought maybe you have some insight on that. You could explain to the people. Go ahead.
All right. So as Apple was saying, right, in a sense, you know, at the heart of it, no man has a document that is over any one of us, right? But understanding that what was happening at the end of the 1800s and the early 1900s and all the banking and everything going kaput, right? So they set up what everybody's termed as trusts, but those trusts are really charters. First, they were a charter, right? And then the charter created a trust, right? So that indentured trustee that we talk about
Yeah.
is the charterer trustee. So it's our vessels, right? Because what is maritime? Maritime is paper, it's commercial persons on the sea of commerce, which would be paper, right? In maritime. In admiralty, you're an actual metal vessel on the actual water sea of commerce, right?
Mm,
So they take what is basically what they created as maritime and they always push you into admiralty because admiralty is colorable,
mm,
right?
mm,
And then you get the whole question like, what is the nature and cause? Is this a criminal or is this common law?
mm,
All of that.
mm,
So technically, your birth certificate, you're born, they encouraged the birth certificate in the early 1900s. There was no birth certificates.
mm,
Um, and that's I can't remember if it was like I think it was right before the bank failures, right? So like people quote HJR 192, but then that was repealed, and it's like, well, you just really need to go to the act from June 9th, 1933.
mhm,
And that's what has remained law for all this time, right? So there's a House joint resolution, there's a House resolution, right? There's all these weird little factors, right? So
mm,
our birth certificate is your original living land estate. It is your portion as an American, right? It is your part in the private treasury, which is the money of the all the people of the United States, right? The Treasury Department. And then, like I said before, the middle ground is the US Department of the Treasury, right? They're the corporate face that was created to interact with the private treasury of the people and the foreign bankers. The foreign bankers being the Federal Reserve Bank. So they
mm,
create your original record. They take that record, and because they set it up in the way that they did, mom's the informant,
yeah.
right?
Mhm,
On your document, it says your record of on your certificate of live birth. It
mhm,
has the vital details. For me, 6:20 a.m. Is
mhm,
10 pounds, blah, 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 right? So all those things, but there's a doctor, right, that signs it. And you have a registration number on there. That registration number on your Kolb isn't going to be on your birth certificate. So if you take your my Kolb, right, is Eric, capital E, then Robert, capital R, then Sollenberger, born on, blah, 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 at Our Lady of Lourdes Hospital in Camden, New Jersey, right? So my birth certificate says all capital, everything's all capital, and it says Sollenberger, comma, Eric Robert. That is a being, that's an entity that they created, right? That they're gonna, then they use that in this world with bills and all this other stuff, that and your social security vessel to control us, to take our money. Like these accounts are us. They were created for us because they took the gold, right?
Mm-mm.
Like this is so the birth certificate, because your dad and mom can't leave you gold in the house, these things were created, right? So you're supposed to have this, age of majority. You go in, for the Social Security, age of majority 18, you go into Social Security office, you file age of majority, you activate your Social Security account. This is how it was designed. And you have a Social Security account for 7 years. It helps you start your life as an adult. You have that account from 18 to 25. At 25, you declare the Social Security person dead. The books are balanced. The remainder is liquidated into your estate, and you manage your own affairs. You don't hire a lawyer. This is how it was designed, right? So, but they don't tell you that. And unless you go in and you take all these documents apart and read them, like you just kind of don't know. So, the birth certificate of live birth, right? That's the money document, so to speak, right? So your certificate of live birth is a warehouse receipt.
Mm-hmm.
So again, they took that document, whether it was, most likelihood it was the hospital, like wherever you were born, that hospital, that original birth certificate, that certificate of live birth, which has your feet print on it.
Mm.
Some states actually have a gold seal for the original
Yeah.
certificate of live birth. Now, I tried for 2.5 years to get my original, right? I got every song and dance in the book. I got hung up on. I
Mm-hmm.
I got talked to real nasty by the registrars, all of that, right? And like, so, oh, we lost it. Then they told me, it wasn't there, it was somewhere else, right? It's like, so I couldn't get a straight answer, right? So the reality is, Patrick taught me that by law, a Bible page, your birth Bible page, like if you have a record of your birth in a Bible, it's more authentic. That's your original title,
Mm-hmm.
right? So basically, it really comes down to title, right? So that record is the title to you, right? So they're holding it, they're trading it, right? And that's how you can go on, GMEI and look at all these, when I went on GMEI after doing Fidelity, because it took me forever to find this stuff on Fidelity and to like go through and ask different questions and then change the search criteria and then get to the spot where you can start entering. You enter your, say, registration number of your birth certificate, right? So mine is 3 numbers, a dash, and then 6, right? Some people, depending on your state, it'll be 3, a dash, then your state, which you'll have 3 numbers, and then another 6 after that. Some are 9, some are 11, but you put that in, say, Fidelity or GMEI, you put it in with the 1 dash. You can put a dash in a different spot. You
Mm-hmm.
put it in with no dashes. Each one is a bank account, and you'll find all these banks, Arab Emirates Bank, right? With your birth certificate, that I mean, lots of money. Like we're talking, like if you just were to try to like go and collect for all of that, your great grandchildren would never have to work a day in your life, right? So what is happening financially and what they're saying on the news and all of this is like it's complete it's malarkey, right?
Mhm.
And money, how we view it, how we were taught to view it and use it was mostly bull, right? We're taught to be the debtor. We're taught to literally sign up to be the debtor. You go and get a general bank account, you are the debtor. As soon as you sign that paper and you give it to them, you start the account. They are telling you, we're the creditor, you're the debtor. And you go, okay. And you sign that, you start the account, you are now the debtor. So it doesn't matter that you're creating the money,
Mhm.
right? Your negotiable instruments create the money. They take your signature, your instrument application, and they go to the Federal Reserve window and they get Federal Reserve dollars, which they put into the account for you. They also get their interest right then and there. And then they tell you that they're lending you the money, right? They're a broker and nothing more. And that's all they are. Every bank is a broker. They lend you nothing. It is not their money, it is yours, right? So but enforcing these things, like you have to like I'm coming at these things and approaching the same subject for some of these things. They want to do hopscotch, right? And they've been like, oh, we don't know what you're talking about. And it's like, yeah, it's right here in the law. And then you
Mm.
send them something else, and then they act like they don't know what you're talking about. So, you know, that's how I found out you have to go through Patrick, that you have to go through the port of entry commissioner, right? Because all the accounts are held offshore, right? So you have these dead accounts that are held offshore. So they use your birth certificate names, last name first, all capital.
What was that port of entry again? You told us that the last time. Port of entry. I think you froze up a little bit there. You're frozen. So he's kind of just going and
And
letting.
hold the account there. So it's dead. So the living person, I'll tell you, folks, it might take about 6 months or 8 months, but Google, Instagram, YouTube, all of them, I got something for them, right? And what I'm going to do when I set this up, I'm going to be talking to all of you because I want to put about 250 people on, an international commercial lien, right? And they're fully liable. They steal our private property, use it, and then try and then censor us and do all this stuff. Yeah, Mr. Maida. Anywho, that's I'm sorry. I get a little distracted, but trust me, these folks are doing all kinds of illegal things. These judges are doing illegal things. They'll do it right to your face in the case. And unless you know like all these nuances of the law, you got to be able to no, judge, no. In fact, I'm going to this. Actually, yeah, let me see those charges. Okay, yeah, I'm going to set this off right now. We're settled. This is done. And here's my counter charge. So you can deposit the bonds that you took out to bring me in here to waste my time into this account. Thank you. Have a great day. Right. And so there's all these things I'm trying to teach myself about how you can let them know that they can't actually get you on contempt of court, right? That's a conversation for another day. So the birth certificate is your original title, your land estate for America. Remember, we're banked on the shores of America.
Hmm.
We're banked, literally. We are banked on the shores of America. And the only way that you have your assets is when you are a man or woman functioning on the land, right? So they're holding these things offshore. So the birth certificate, it's like we can view it as all kinds of things. It's like saying, I'm just going to close down my Social Security. I'm going to send back the card, right? That's great. Now, you just gave away literally the thing where you really don't have to work for the rest of your effing life. Excuse, say I didn't curse. So you don't have to. But so we have to get our estate, know who we are in regards to them. Like, listen, oh, you're approaching me. You want to deal with this person because you can only contract with this person that you made. Well, I'll tell you what, I own that person. So I'm the fiduciary attorney. In fact, I handle everything for that person, right? So by law, there's nothing anyone can do about that, even the judge, right? So it is what it is, right? So now you can tell me I can do this, I can't do that. You can write me a ticket, and then I can basically set it off. And I'm starting to I just made a bank stamp, right? Which is without recourse, paid to the order of Eric Robert Sauenberger, individual banker, private bank, ENT, by date, my name, signature, owner, fiduciary, attorney in fact, private bank, right? Bang. This is what Wells Fargo did with somebody's mortgage. They take your mortgage, that contract, they flip it over, and they stamp their bank stamp that says just like that, except my bank's name is replaced with Wells Fargo. And it could be the vice president or the attorney in fact, or just a fiduciary, right? Agent. Um, they sign that, they get paid your contract, right? Like this is what banks are doing. So we have the ability, we're a bank, So my whole point with the EIN numbers is like, I had an idea of what it was to be an individual banker a year ago. I got the number May of 2022, right? I now actually really am starting to understand how to use it.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I was been setting things up and like, like some of it, it's like, I just have to keep studying, do work with certain documents that I can get a hold of, and then like see if I can get some answers to some questions a couple places. If I can't, I, I send the stuff. And I see, like, I get a response or like, okay, it was received. Okay, well, they didn't send anything back, or I got a letter back that was like, didn't tell me a whole lot, but was not like real positive and didn't really say anything. Well, the fact is, I know that the paperwork was received, right? And then learning about foreign affidavits and the fact that they're foreign jurisdiction. We're foreign to their foreign jurisdiction,
Mm-hmm.
if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So we're doing all this stuff, but we're doing it in the state of, right? And so that's a foreign jurisdiction to the United States of America, right? So then you submit this document under that authority, but then you don't have the authority to do what that document actually does. So if it's a foreign affidavit, that means, hey, I'm letting you know this is a foreign affidavit presentation into your foreign state jurisdiction. Here you go, right? And you create your own jurats. You design the um for you it would be California state,
Mm-hmm.
you know, whatever county, right? SS dot dot, right? And then in witness whereof, on this first day of January 2024 AD, and then you reaffirm that, here in XY County, California Republic,
Mm-hmm.
before me does
He's frozen. Are you there, Tiana?
sent
Allison?
your name, middle section, and I literally did my birth information, and I had my mom sign it, right? But when you do it, my mom would be Mary Ann Teresa of the family of Morano, right? When you
I keep getting kicked out of the Zoom. It freezes.
the Bible page, not Eric Robert Sullenberger, like, so you want to put like the fact that it establishes that the so that is your family, nation, or house name. You could say clan, right? So back, if you look at old birth records in a Bible, it'll say, like, for example, ChaYah of the family Shalom, right? Or it might even say house, right? But it never says like Baba, last name, boom, right? There is no last name because you're living. This is an announcement of you being alive, right? So the living person doesn't have a last name. Now, the tricky thing is that they tried to do away with common law, right? So you have civil, right? So it's all Roman. So your civil person, your civil man or woman is alive, right? And under the civil law, which would be the Declaration of Independence, the Bill of Rights, and the original Constitution for the United States of America, that makes you so you're alive. So just like the folks that signed the Constitution, first, middle, last name, but established under civil law. So under Roman civil law, you have capitis diminutio maxima, right? The maximum deficiency of your power through usage of letters, meaning capital. Slaves were all capital, right? So the people, you have your maximum amount of power all lowercase. So when I establish I'm doing my notice of copy claim, copyright and trademark, right? It's all lowercase, Eric hyphen Robert, right? And then semicolon, capital H, house of capital S, Sullenberger, right? That's the family, right? But for me, my name is Eric Robert, nothing more. That's it. That's the entirety of it, right? So the ID that I put up on the site, my name on there is Eric Robert. Yet the attorney in fact that has the right to assign and whatever is my syntaxed full name because that is my civil man, right? So that's a lie. But on your birth certificate, like they took what would be your family name and they made it a last name, right? They created the legal name. So, like, like to try and so they have this paper thing that they can control and use the money of and take and whatever. So by having the record, if you have a Bible page of your birth information, right, done properly, you send that in to you design a, Patrick Devine has it laid out. You send in an estoppel by deed banker's lien with a copy of your original
Yeah.
title.
Best.
Hi, this is my original record, right, of me coming on the planet. This is my title to, to all this. So you will stop the usage, all the fraudulent usage on my birth certificate, right? Now, learning recently that I didn't know that the port of entry, that the birth certificate account was held by in Puerto Rico as well.
Hmm.
Right. So all this stuff is offshore. And by law, they can keep it in Puerto Rico as these fraudulent funds because they can't do it. They can't keep it here. Right. Like, you know,
Hmm.
like, so that's why Puerto Rico will never be a state. Right.
Mhm.
Like, so that's where, it's just like the offshore banking. It's like Pirates of the Caribbean. Yeah. That's the Social Security Administration. Right. That's the Pirates of the Caribbean. So, like the birth certificate is held there too, the funds for that, right? So, like all of it, you have to deal with bringing these accounts to land, otherwise you can't do anything with it, right? So
Okay.
it's a dead account. So, like the point of getting the birth certificate, getting the excuse me, the foreign grantor trust number is that is over the birth certificate vessel, right? So you have a vessel, you have a mortmain vessel, which is Social Security, and you have a birth certificate vessel to make it as simple as possible, right? So your birth certificate vessel is made from the birth certificate, and Social Security vessel from the Social Security card, right? And signing up for them. So they're two separate vessels, but they're all held offshore. Why? Because that way we don't end up having access, and you have to learn all this stuff and like the actual law and go through all this code and stuff to learn where the stuff is, and then you have to then figure out how to get it, right? Like that. Okay, so the individual banker is the interface between public and private. So the individual banker can function as a banker privately, but can deal commercially, right? So the individual banker you put over any persons you have. So both vessels, the Social Security vessel and the foreign grantor trust vessel, so the birth certificate vessel and the Social Security vessel. So once you've gotten your estate, you're going to have to file a 56F, right? I will be more than happy if you don't want to watch 50 hours of Patch Divine and then to take it apart and then make the document yourself. I can show you how to make and then you have to make it your own, of course. But the 56F, there's three spaces right at the top of the document, right? And it says person you are acting for, right? So that first person is my all capital name, Eric Robert Sollenberger, estate,
Yeah.
right? But then I have, instead of their document, you write estate and then it says EIN number all the way over on the right.
Mm.
Well, you want to make sure that you put like, okay, so you have your estate number, but when you just show the estate number and you put that you're executor, it keeps it in the trust world. But that is a maritime lien. those numbers are maritime liens
Mm-hmm.
on the vessel.
Mm.
They were chartered vessels until you take possession of them, right? So you get these two EIN numbers, you're taking possession of the two vessels, right? So then the banker is, executes the like executes the uh, makes it possible for you to interact with the two accounts
4 minutes.
because they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So so it would be something like maritime estate matured mortgage claim exemption identification number, right? And then you have SS charter deceased vessel number, and you put your social security number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then in the middle, it says fiduciary's name. So you would put the name of your bank right there with the care of address, right? And it'll say, then over on the right, contact person.
Mm-hmm.
Contact person is your properly syntax name. The same name that would be the trustee for your irrevocable trust, the same name that would be the executor for your estate, the same, right? So your properly syntax name, so that would be your civil woman name, right? First hyphen, middle, colon, space, last name, right? So that's a contact person. You put your phone number and your EIN under there, right? And then underneath that, it says other person you are acting for, right? Meaning, like, so if there's multiple accounts, right? So that's where you're going to put your foreign grantor trust. So you have a state, the fiduciary. The fiduciary is the common parent, meaning they're in charge over everything. The fiduciary is nonprofit bank. It's a nonprofit bank. It's exempt. Your foreign grantor trust is exempt. You get your address for your estate care of, as I've been saying, right? When you do that, your estate is then foreign as well, right? So what does that mean? Exempt, right? So the whole thing with these, oh, I got to worry about filing this and filing that, and no, you don't. Hence the reason why you haven't gotten flack for not filing a 1041 since you got your trust. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, like like you they have to nitpick and try and
1
take
minute
something
left.
that you're doing and turn it into income.
So we're going to have to finish
Okay.
this because we only have a minute left, but I know in about 15 to 20 minutes we can go on and I can actually pull up the SS4 form so that people can see what you were talking about
Yes.
on where to put whatever.
Well, that right.
We're not going
Well,
to
that's
start that
so we'll pull
subject.
up the SS4 and the 56F,
Okay, I'll do that. We'll regain back
right?
at 20
But
minutes from now.
as folks,
And I'll do that because it's going to cut off.
okay.
But thank you for sharing that great
Yeah.
information. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
And there's definitely
I'm,
sure. There's
I'm
more
hoping
on
we
the,
can all work
the
on that.
certificate of live birth. There's definitely,
All right, I'll get those
yeah. I
and
mean,
we'll
and
see.
like as we get these numbers, as you get these numbers, the vital importance of the W-8 Ben and affidavit, like that would benefit you right now, right? But the
Yeah.
sooner you get the banker number and